Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Scots on the Run podcast, where we take a behind-the-scenes look at what's happening in the Gordon College cross-country and track and field programs. In this episode, we're recapping regionals, and Kimmy Poulos is here to help us out with that. But first, as always, Coach Miela, how's it going?
It's going good. Man, cross-country came and went real fast, didn't it?
It did. We really did.
Jeez. And it's not over. It's not over yet, and we'll talk more about that later, but definitely excited about the season we've had, where the group's at. Yeah, excited for one more race for Rachel as well.
Yes, and as you mentioned, we'll get into that
Yep.
a little bit later. But first, Kimmy, you had a massive PR on Saturday, so why don't you just, to start the regionals recap, kind of take us through your race and how you ended up running one of your best times ever.
Yeah, so obviously I was excited for regionals. It was the first race I was actually nervous for of the whole season, because I usually don't get nervous before cross-country races for some reason. I just get excited. But I was nervous getting on the line, and then I just took a couple deep breaths, and I was like, okay, I'm feeling good today. And I knew it was my last race with Liz, so I was also excited about that, and I gave her a hug before, and it calmed all my nerves. And then I like to pray individually after we pray with the team, so I did that. I was like, okay, I'm ready to race, and the second the gun went off, all the nerves went away, and I was just running.
What'd you like about this course?
I actually liked, at first I was nervous that I wasn't going to like that it was 3 loops, because I thought it would be like monotonous and I'd get annoyed by it, but it kind of helped because it felt like a workout in a way, where I was like, okay, just like keep the pace, because like 1 rep, 2nd rep, 3rd rep, then I'm done.
Sure.
And you got to see people more often for the cheering, which was also fun, because that helps.
Yeah. Well, it was a great spectator course. I know, obviously, because of what you just said, you could see a lot of the race. You could literally, I could cut across the field, and we could see you at multiple parts of the race. Definitely, you probably got to see coaches and teammates and people cheering you on a lot more frequent than you do at any other cross country course.
Shout out to the guys that acted like the Tufts team and took their shirts off and started screaming.
Yeah, the guys did. Because the guys went first. They had nothing. They had nothing left, so they could they could cheer you guys on. Well, I guess I also wanted to ask, one of the significant things about this race was the course changed 3 weeks before the race, right? So we went from thinking it was at Franklin Park to now going to a course that you've never ran before. How was that adjustment for you?
Honestly, it was fine. I feel like, in general, I pretty much roll with the punches as things come. So the change didn't, make me nervous. I got excited because I wanted to go away. So
Yeah, we got to stay overnight, yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
So if anything, I was more excited about it. And the course, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was easier. I think it was a little flatter, maybe.
I don't know.
But, so I was excited about that. And, yeah, I don't know. I thought it'd be fun. So.
Sure.
I wasn't nervous about it, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, and you got to run the course a little bit when
The day before, right.
Light run the day before, so yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'll say from my perspective as a former runner, my mentality certainly changes when it's, a loop course like that, and you're essentially, I guess it was a 3-lap race for the women, a 4-lap race for the men. How do you strategize going into a meet like that, knowing that, you're going to be running the same loop essentially multiple times rather than a long course where, you've got a little bit more variety in there?
Kimmy, do you strategize before a race?
At
all?
If I'm honest, no, I don't really. I kind of just go how my body feels and I know around the pace I should be running, and then I kind of just do it, and then I hope I don't know. I guess just if I start slowing down, then I usually will just start praying while I'm running, and then I'll stop and then keep focusing again. But that's the most strategy I guess I have. I don't know. I just work with how I'm feeling in the moment, and if I start feeling really bad, then I just deal with it while I'm running with it, and then I try to keep my pace again.
Yeah. Well, I gotta give, just to that point, I gotta give a shout out to Coach Luco, who we have him on the pod every once in a while, and I think athlete like you and I think Jesse was similar to this when we had him, and he was talking about his approach, and in that. Some people are very, very meticulous, very structured in how they want to attack a race. Some people like to go by feel. And I think just the structure of our training this year helps you kind of go with that feel. And that's why I think Coach Luco did a great job with that this year in particular, is training your body to be in a rhythm so that even when you're not feeling the best, that's just like the default autopilot, right? But clearly you must have felt good during this race, because I think you had was it 38-second personal best? That's significant, because this course, I mean, it was flatter, but it wasn't the flattest course we've raced,
Yeah. Well, I was just going to ask that, because whatever your strategy or non-strategy was, it clearly worked for you, because you ran a 25:51. I guess, just doing the quick math in my head here, your previous PR was somewhere in 26:30.
26:29, yeah.
26:29, yeah. So fantastic job on a course, to your point, Coach, where there is some elevation change. It's not necessarily one where you would expect very many PRs to happen, much less one by close to 40 seconds there. So fantastic job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, before we transition into talking about anything else, Kimmy comes to practice every day with a great attitude, super positive. I think she brings up the positivity on our squad week in and week out. But ultimately, when it comes to team standings, right? And so this is actually probably a good transition into talking about how the women's team did as a whole. I think it was hard to tell where the women were going to finish exactly, and they ended up getting 12th, which we're really excited about for 12th in our region. I don't know. I mean, last year I forgot. I don't know if you remember, but I think we were 16th or something like that. Like, we certainly were a bit lower, and I'd say the major difference in just the overall team performance had to do with Kimmy gutting it out. And that's the other thing about you, is that you don't really pay attention to what your PR is. And I remember we were joking about this after the race, that you came up, the final stretch has a hill and it flattens out to get to the finish line, and as you got to that plateau for the last 50 meters of the race or whatever, you saw a number you've never seen before, and I could see your face light up as you just kind of sprinted to the finish, because you've never seen 25 minutes on the clock as you were passing the finish line. And anybody will know that it's not necessarily your first, second, or third runner that makes the difference all the time. It's usually your fourth and fifth runner. And so the reason why our team did so well is because of Kim's performance, and pretty cool. I was really, really stoked about your race, Kim.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, the women took 12th overall. The men, in a similar spot in their team standings, 13th. So what stood out to you from the men's race?
Yeah, I'd say it was the first race where we didn't have, I guess, a bad performance, right? Like, where we didn't have somebody who just had an off day. It felt like we all had a solid day, a decent day. Our 1 through 7, nobody really was off, which is something there's something to be said about that. I know our men's team, myself included, we had higher hopes for what we could have achieved, but when you get on these big stages, good or solid performances don't make the difference. You really need a few, particularly in your top 5, to go out and have a spectacular day, a great day. You could look at a team like Suffolk, who they raced 7 guys, only 6 finished the race, but all 6 of their guys that finished the race ran personal bests. And DIII had 3 out of 5 in their top 5 ran personal bests, and so we needed to have one of those. We need to have 1 or 2 guys have a big performance day for us to get into that top 10, which is ultimately where we wanted to be. But like I said, I think the progress of the program, last year, I know the guys were 18th. I know we did not have a good day at regionals. So in that sense, we took a step forward in terms of, we went from, obviously last year at regionals we didn't finish well. This year we're excited to have had people have solid performances. And, obviously going from 18th to 13th, there's something to be said about that. I know that Coach Luco and myself, we're confident in the future of the program, and the fact that we're recruiting really hard, we're working really hard, we're trying to build a culture where top 10 is not just a goal, but a reality every year, and then climbing into the top 5, and hopefully eventually taking an entire team to nationals. I think that's the trajectory of where we hope our program can be. So this was a step in the right direction for that, and we're going to graduate a few guys in that top 5, but it's because of their hard work that we can even have that conversation, that they've taken this program from where it was 4 years ago, worked hard, and now we can have the discussion about being a top 10 team in the region. So I think ultimately, yeah, it was just the collective effort from the men as a whole on, for the entire team.
Yeah. Well, I want to follow up on that in just a moment, but
Sure.
first I want to back up. I went back and looked at last year's women's results. You
Yeah.
were 15th in the region
Okay.
last year, so there's an improvement
Great.
on that side of things as well. And Kimmy, your time individually was 27:20.
At
So
regionals
that's
last
an
year.
even bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's
Yeah.
to be expected year to year, but
A lot can happen
minute
in a
and
year.
half
Yeah, exactly.
is still very impressive.
90 seconds in
Yeah.
a 6K. I mean, again, men's race is 2,000 more meters, right? So for Kimmy to shave that much time, I'm telling you, she's consistent. And it's her consistency and her effort and her attitude every day that makes the difference over the long haul, right? The long period
Yeah.
of time. So
I was really impressed, in particular, with Phil and Steven
Yeah.
in the men's race because I
Oh,
I
yeah.
know, I think it was Steven that pulled ahead there at the very end, but just
They
like
work
we're talking
together,
about,
yeah.
a great spectator course, and every time I saw them
Yep.
coming across the different loops, they were side by side working together, pushing one another, and I'm sure probably ran better races than they would have had they not had
Oh.
the other there to push them along.
And I think they both said that after the race as well. I think those two. I think that's a really good point. You brought those two up because I think that's a good image for what made this team special this past year. Is that those two guys working together. Yeah, I think we were talented both on the men's and women's side, but it was really the way that particularly the men's team really worked together in races. Because guys would talk about going out together and pushing at certain points and that makes a difference when you've got a team that has a team mindset, right? That legitimately thinks about, okay, how can I race in a way that helps my brother next to me run a better race as well.
Well, I guess let's look ahead to this
Yeah.
upcoming weekend.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Rachel a little bit. I know we almost always do on a weekly basis
Sure.
on this show with the performances that she's put in this year. But
Yep.
you want to talk about a major improvement as well. Rachel in this race last year was, in regionals last year. I know
Yep.
it wasn't in the same course, but was 10th overall with a 22:44. She went from that to a third place finish this year, 22:03. She'll
Yep.
be going back to nationals this weekend. What are you looking forward to for her as we prepare for one final meet this year?
Well, yeah, and we were trying to be smart with Rachel in that we knew going in, especially when she was sitting in third. I mean, we knew that the first 80% of that race still needed to be a race, but that last portion of it when she was sitting in third and she was pretty solidly there, that it's like, okay, like we're going to, like the ticket was punched at that point. We just need her to stay steady and so yeah, that was kind of part of the plan to keep nationals in mind during this race, to not go to the well, so to speak, and really try and save a little bit. So she ran 22:03. She probably could have ran close to her personal best, which she ran earlier this year, which is 21:41. She probably could have done that if she wanted to. I think like I said, our hope is that she can go out and have her best race of her entire life on Saturday. And that's been the goal since day one, is that not only she can get there, but when she gets there, perform at a high level. Last year, we were excited to make it, and then it was snowing, and there was a lot going on to make that not exactly, a prime opportunity to be at peak performance, right? This year, weather looks good. She actually, earlier this year, we got her down at the pre-nationals race, so she's seen the course. She's taken this drive. We did that earlier this year, so she's ready. We've done everything to, her training's been great. She's been prepared, and now it's just a matter of going out and celebrating the hard work that she's done, because it's going to be on display on Saturday, and it'll be fun to watch.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Kimmy, thank you for joining us and taking us through your meet. And Coach, I guess we've got to look forward to one more meet this weekend, but then we'll roll right into indoor track
and then,
after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the next one we do will be a Nationals review, and then our first indoor meet preview. How about
Sounds
that,
great.
man? Back into indoor track already. So cool.
Right. Well, as always, thank you all for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.
Right on.